How are legacies made in sports? Is it legendary moments? Is it individual success? Or is it the number of championships somebody has? In the NBA, championships play a huge factor in legacy talks. A championship shows the rest of the league that you were on top of the world. It shows that you were able to elevate your team to be the best that season. It can rewrite narratives, it can reshape the career of players, and it can shift the way we talk about them for the rest of the history of the game. And if these 15 players win the 2026 playoffs, the impact on their legacy will shift the landscape of NBA history. Let's start with Shea first. If Shea wins the 2026 championship, he becomes the face of the league, no question. Not a flopper, not an unethical hooper, the face of the NBA. A title this year will validate OKC's entire rebuild, proving that their slow, patient, and draft-heavy approach wasn't smart, it was championship-defining. Shea would instantly become the best guard of the 2020s and be on pace to become a top 10 player in NBA history. 2 championships and potentially 2 MVPs back-to-back seasons. Diamonds we haven't seen since Jordan in the 90s. A 2026 ring will also silence every remaining critic about his antics on the court because it will prove that his style of play translates to winning basketball. Shea will, with another ring, become the best player in the world, no debate. Let's go to Jokic now. If Jokic wins the 2026 championship, the conversation changes permanently. Another ring pushes him into the top 15 all-time debate. It strengthens his case as the greatest offensive big ever and pushes the agenda of having the best offensive stretch in NBA history. It also puts him in the same historical lane as Hakeem, Shaq, and even Tim Duncan. A 2026 title will also prove that Denver's 2023 run wasn't a one-off. It will confirm that Jokic's style is sustainable in any era, against any defense, under any pressure. Next is Wemby. If Wemby wins this ring, the league changes overnight. A title this early, only his 3rd year, will be unprecedented. It would instantly become one of the greatest early career achievements in NBA history. It will validate every projection, every expectation, and every future goal conversation. A ring this year will also redefine what's possible for a player of his size. It will prove that a giant can finally lead their team to the end without any injuries getting in their way. His argument as the most impactful two-way player in NBA history can now start running. 7'4" alien that could shut down an entire part of the court and take over the game on both sides. If Wemby wins this year, he will be on pace to challenge Jordan and LeBron's places in the GOAT conversation. Next is Luka. If Luka wins this ring, everything changes. The no defenses narrative, gone. The empty stats narrative, gone. The can't win with his style narrative, also gone. A 2026 ring would instantly put Luka in the top 10 point guard conversation of all time. It would validate his style of play, and it will shift the conversation from when will he win to how many he can win. Luka is already one of the most gifted offensive players we've ever seen. A 2026 title will finally give him the respect his talent has deserved for years. One of the most decorated resumes in basketball at only 27. Now we have Ant-Man. If Ant wins this title, he becomes the undisputed greatest Timberwolf of all time. A ring this year will launch him into the top 10 shooting guard conversation immediately. It will validate his leadership, his confidence, and his ability to carry a franchise, and it will position him as the face of the league for the next decade. A title at only 24, when he hasn't even hit his prime, it's a scary sight for the NBA. This means we haven't even seen the finished product of Ant. Next is Tatum. If Tatum wins his title, it's one of the best stories in sports. He will become one of the top Celtics of all time, and the criticism around him will vanish. One of the best comeback stories in sports. From a torn Achilles to an NBA champion in only 1 year, an injury that killed the careers of many in the NBA. Tatum will be recognized as a top 8 small forward of all time and slowly on pace to become a top 5 small forward of all time. One of the most disrespected superstars will turn into one of the most respected in an instant. Next on our list is Cade. If Cade wins his title, it will become one of the greatest turnaround stories in sports history. From one of the worst teams in NBA history to NBA champions in only 2 years is something unique in sports as a whole. The team captain turned into the champion. This will push Cade into the best player in the world talks and put him in uncomfortable talks. His career trajectory will officially be in the Hall of Fame ceiling and forever a Detroit legend. One of the faces of a league with a ring this early in his career, with much more left in the tank. Next on our list is Brunson. If Brunson wins this title, he will forever be a New York legend. A title this year will cement him as one of the greatest Knicks ever. It will validate his rise from a second-round pick to a franchise superstar, and it will instantly elevate him into a top 3 guard of his era conversation. A Brunson-led 2026 run would be a cultural moment. It will redefine the Knicks, redefine his career, and redefine what a small guard can do in today's NBA. Next is LeBron. If LeBron wins this championship, the GOAT conversation is over. Winning his 5th ring at age 41 as a pivotal part of this team, this would be the ultimate longevity statement. It would be proof that he can still lead, still dominate, and still elevate a team deep into June at his age. His greatness cannot be denied any longer and should be widely recognized as the GOAT of basketball. A 2026 ring will be the final and undeniable chapter of LeBron's legacy. Next is KD. If KD wins this ring, his legacy gets the correction it's been waiting for years. A title this year, the first one outside of Golden State, will silence the bus rider narrative forever. It will validate his decision making, his leadership, and his ability to be the best player on the championship team. No, he was not the best player during the Warriors era. A ring this year puts him back in the top 10 all-time conversation with real momentum, finally being recognized as a quote-unquote legendary player. This is the ring that changes how Durant's entire career is remembered. Next on the list is Curry. Curry wins this ring, the conversation shifts dramatically. He's the best point guard of all time and a top 5 player in NBA history. A 2026 title with this roster at this stage of his career will be the ultimate validation of his impact on the game. It will prove that his gravity, his leadership, and his style can carry a team to the top once again. Without his best teammate Jimmy, this ring would hold as much weight as Dirk's in 2011. A Curry championship in 2026 will be one of the most impressive rings ever won. Next on the list is Harden. If Harden wins this ring, his entire career gets rewritten overnight. A ring this year erased the playoff choker label he's had his entire career. It validates his MVP, his scoring dominance, and his offensive revolution. It reframes his legacy from a player who fell short to a player who finally finished the job. And because of how long he's waited, and how many times he's been close, and how much criticism he's taken, a ring this year would hit harder than almost any other player on this list. For Harden, this is the ring that matters more than any other player on this list by a great margin. Next is his teammate Mitchell. If Donovan Mitchell wins this ring, he will become one of the most defining guards of this era. For the first time, Mitchell will pass the second round. A title this year elevates him from an elite scorer to an elite winner. It will validate his playoff reputation as a big-time performer and cements him as one of the best guards of the 2020s. A 2026 ring will be a breakthrough that changes his entire career arc, from potential Hall of Famer to a for sure Hall of Famer. Next on our list is Joel Embiid. If Embiid wins this ring, it becomes one of the most important legacy shifts of this era. A ring this year will finally close the gap between his talent and his resume. It will erase the great regular season player label. It will silence all the durability jokes, the playoff collapses, the second round exits, and every narrative that followed him for nearly a decade. A title this year will validate his MVP, his scoring dominance, and his dominance as one of the most unstoppable interior forces of this generation. One of the most talented players in NBA history finally gets this ring that he long deserved. Finally, we have Jaylen Brown. If Jaylen Brown wins this championship, it changes everything for his career. He'll be part of one of the best 1-2 punches in NBA history with him and Tatum. His game has to be recognized as versatile and fluid. A player who could win as a number 1 option when needed and dominate as a number 2 when the matchup demands it. Brown has carried this Celtics roster the entire season as Tatum was dealing with an Achilles tear. Jaylen will be a top 10 shooting guard of all time, no debate, and one of the best guards in the 2020s. Now, a championship doesn't always tell the entire story, but it tells you a great chunk. Enough to validate and change the legacies of these players for the rest of their careers. It's simple, honestly. It's basketball immortality. And which NBA player does not want that? Now, we are missing 2 key players in Halliburton and Giannis, and unfortunately, their teams didn't make the playoffs due to different circumstances. But to put it quite simply, if Halliburton wins a ring, he's instantly one of the top 10 best point guards of all time, potentially the best pacer of all time. And with Giannis, he's undisputedly the best buck of all time, and potentially a top 3 power forward of all time, and we could also now push him into the top 15 conversation of all time. This upcoming playoffs may be one of the great ones, and it will change the legacy of some players. It was fun doing this because you really get to see what one championship could really do for one player's career. That's all we have today in store. Please leave a comment you think you agree with us or if you disagree with us. If you want more content like that, I would advise hit the subscribe button because we are going to try to, push out more content throughout the playoffs and give great insight and great analytics. Please, have a great one.